just when people believed Bishop T.D. Jakes had already faced everything, the fame, the success, and the controversies, a stunning revelation has emerged, leaving both his supporters and critics absolutely speechless. What exactly is happening behind the curtain of one of America's most influential ministries? This breaking news has the power to completely reshape what many thought they knew about Jakes, his empire, his name, and even his faith. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might just be the most jaw-dropping twist of his entire journey. In today's video, we're unpacking a major breaking story that has the entire faith community buzzing. Bishop T.D. Jakes, one of the most well-known pastors in the world, a best-selling author, filmmaker, and spiritual guide to millions, has just been hit with shocking news that's igniting heated conversations across social media and church circles alike. From the pulpit straight to the public eye, for years, Jakes carried a reputation that felt unshakable. But now, new reports are surfacing that could question everything his followers have long believed about him. Whether it involves internal church conflicts, financial allegations, personal family matters, or unexpected leadership shifts, something massive is happening behind closed doors, and people are demanding clarity. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what took place, what it could mean for the Potter's house, and how it might shape the future of Bishop Jakes' legacy. And trust me, you'll want to watch until the very end, because what we reveal in the final moments will completely change the way you view this entire situation. So buckle up, because the story goes far beyond one man. It's about power, influence, and the kind of truth that refuses to stay buried. When news first broke about Bishop T.D. Jakes, the internet exploded almost instantly. Within moments, social media was flooded with reactions, shock, disbelief, support, and of course, controversy. The story spread like wildfire, with countless people asking the same thing: could this actually be true? For decades, Bishop Jakes has stood as a voice of strength and wisdom in the Christian world. His sermons have moved millions, his conferences have drawn global crowds, and his books have topped charts time and time again. But this new revelation has many wondering if there's a hidden side to his powerful ministry, one very few have ever glimpsed. According to multiple circulating reports, sources close to the Potter's house, the Dallas megachurch founded by Jakes, have confirmed that something major is unfolding behind the scenes. Some insiders are calling it a pivotal turning point, while others describe it as the biggest test of his leadership yet. And though the full picture hasn't been revealed, one thing is certain: this is far from business as usual for Bishop Jakes or his leadership team. Members of his congregation have been left stunned. Many have taken to social media to express their heartbreak and confusion, saying they never thought they'd hear such troubling news tied to their spiritual leader. Others, however, are standing firmly by him, urging people not to rush to judgment until the full truth comes out. Major media outlets are now digging deeper, with some suggesting this could involve an internal issue that's been quietly brewing for months but has only now come to light. And while Bishop Jakes himself has mostly chosen to remain silent up to this point, that very silence has only intensified the wave of speculation. What makes this moment stand out isn't just the news itself, but what it symbolizes: a rare look into the pressures, politics, and enormous challenges that come with leading one of the world's largest ministries. For years, Jakes has been admired as a spiritual giant, a visionary who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most influential faith leaders of this generation. But history has proven that even the most revered figures can face moments that shake the very foundations of everything they've built. And right now, this appears to be one of those defining moments. According to several emerging reports, the situation may be far more complex than anyone initially believed. Some are already suggesting that what's happening could expose not only a leadership crisis, but a deeply personal and spiritual one as well. But before rushing to conclusions, it's important to retrace where it all started, to understand what led to this shocking turn of events that now has the world's attention. Before we can grasp why this new development has caused such a stir, we need to revisit who Bishop T.D. Jakes truly is and how he became one of the most powerful, admired, and polarizing voices in modern ministry. Thomas Dexter Jakes, better known as T.D. Jakes, didn't grow up with privilege or wealth. Born in South Charleston, West Virginia, he was raised in a working-class home deeply rooted in Christian values. From a young age, Jake stood out with his rare blend of empathy and leadership. While other children his age played on schoolyards, he was already showing an extraordinary interest in ministry, preaching to small groups and inspiring people twice his age. But his journey to prominence was far from easy. In his early years, Jake faced hardship and rejection. His father's death during his teenage years forced him to shoulder adult responsibilities far earlier than most. Yet even through the pain and struggle, he never turned away from his calling. He began with just a small group of members in a modest storefront church in Montgomery, West Virginia, preaching with a fiery passion that was impossible to ignore. It didn't take long for word to spread about the young preacher whose voice carried an undeniable power. People said that when he spoke, it wasn't just words, it was something they could feel deep inside. And soon his voice began to echo far beyond those small church walls. By the early 1990s, Jakes was capturing national attention. His breakthrough came with the release of his now iconic sermon series, Woman, Thou Art Loosed, which spoke directly to the pain and resilience of women who had endured life's toughest blows. The message struck a chord, turning into a best-selling book, a massive national conference, and even a feature film. Jakes became a household name, not just within church circles, but across the entire nation. From that point on, his influence skyrocketed. He founded the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, a megachurch capable of seating over 30,000 people. His sermons drew in celebrities, politicians, and global leaders. U.S. presidents sought his counsel. Hollywood stars filled his pews. His television broadcasts reached millions of homes every week. To many, Bishop T.D. Jakes was more than a pastor. He became a spiritual father, a motivator, and a guiding voice in their lives. But as with all great influence, it also brought intense scrutiny. Over the years, Jakes has faced criticism from multiple angles, some challenging his theology, others accusing him of turning faith into a commercial empire. Yet despite every obstacle thrown his way, Bishop Jakes always seemed untouchable. Every time critics predicted his ministry would crumble, he emerged even stronger, sharper in focus and higher in respect. That's exactly why this current situation has sent shockwaves across the faith community. Seeing a man of his stature, someone who has counseled presidents, mended broken families, and led millions toward faith, suddenly caught in the middle of controversy almost feels unreal. It's as though a spiritual giant is being forced to face his most human moment. And this is where the story begins to take a more unsettling turn. According to multiple insiders close to the situation, this unbelievable news didn't just appear out of nowhere. Some claim it's been quietly building for months, perhaps even years, simmering beneath the surface while the world saw only the polished, powerful public image. In the next part, we'll take a closer look at what may really be happening behind the scenes, the whispers, the growing tensions, and the internal decisions that could forever alter the future of the Potter's House. Because if these reports prove to be accurate, the fallout could reshape not only Bishop Jakes' legacy, but also the broader perception of megachurch leadership itself. Behind every mighty empire lies a story the public rarely witnesses, one woven with quiet battles, hidden tensions, and moments of vulnerability. For years, Bishop T.D. Jakes seemed to rise above it all, calm, composed, and completely in control. But according to what insiders are beginning to reveal, the reality behind the Potter's House may not be as flawless as it once appeared. It all began with whispers. Members who had been part of the ministry for years started noticing subtle shifts. Some pointed to leadership meetings that had grown unusually tense, with longtime staff members abruptly departing without any public explanation. Others mentioned that financial conversations were becoming more private, along with reports of disagreements over how key church programs were being handled. At first, these signs seemed like ordinary growing pains for such a massive ministry. After all, the Potter's House is far more than just a church. It's a global organization with a production arm, corporate partnerships, and an annual operating budget in the millions. But over time, the tone of those whispers changed. A handful of former staff members began to speak out, hinting that something far deeper was unfolding internally, something tied not only to leadership tensions, but also to the personal weight of carrying such a massive responsibility. Running a megachurch of this scale is no small task. Every action is analyzed, every decision is questioned, and every misstep can spiral into a storm. As one insider reportedly put it, even a man of faith can crack under that kind of pressure. Sources close to the ministry have described months of internal restructuring, closed-door meetings, and rising concern among senior leaders. Some allege that Bishop Jakes himself has been under tremendous personal strain, struggling to balance the pressures of ministry, business, and family while holding on to his image as an unshakable pillar of strength. And this is where the story truly becomes complicated. Reports have started to surface suggesting that the Potter's house may be approaching what some are calling a leadership crossroads. While no official word has come from the church itself, several independent voices claim a major shift is on the horizon, one that could potentially redefine the entire structure of Bishop Jakes' ministry. "I've carried this ministry on my shoulders for decades," he said softly. "And in that time, I've learned that even shepherds can grow weary. But the God who called me is still the same God who holds me up." Those simple words alone were enough to bring many in the audience to tears. Cameras captured faces filled with emotion, longtime members, families, visitors, and young believers, all united in that shared moment of raw honesty. Then came the moment that shifted everything. Jakes openly admitted that yes, there had been challenges within the ministry, disagreements, transitions, moments of tension. He didn't confirm every rumor floating around, but he didn't deny the existence of internal struggles either. He spoke candidly about the weight of managing growth, protecting legacy, and navigating generational leadership. "When a tree grows large," he said, "its branches must reach farther than the roots ever imagined. And if those roots aren't strengthened, the wind can shake us." That single line spread like wildfire, going viral within hours. It was posted, shared, and quoted across countless platforms, but perhaps the most powerful part of his message came when he turned inward, not to talk about the organization, but about himself. "I am not perfect," he confessed. "I'm not above correction, and I am not immune to pain. What I ask of you is prayer, not pity, but prayer. Because before I'm a bishop, before I'm a leader, I'm a man, a husband, a father, and a servant." The sanctuary erupted. Applause filled the room. People stood to their feet, shouting encouragement. Some wept openly, others bowed their heads in reverence. Even online, viewers described chills as they watched one of the world's most renowned pastors lay himself bare before his own congregation. Then he addressed the media storm directly. Without bitterness or accusation, Jakes said to those who speculated, criticized, and assumed, "I forgive you, because you cannot see the full picture when you're looking through broken glass. But I pray that one day the truth, the whole truth, will speak for itself." With that, he gently closed his Bible, drew in a deep breath, and prayed over his people, not just for himself, but for everyone who had ever been judged or misunderstood. When the service ended, social media lit up again, but this time, the tone had shifted completely. Hashtags like #WeStandWithTD Jakes and #GraceOverGossip began trending. Even some of his most vocal critics admitted that his humility and composure had won back their respect. Major news outlets quickly reported that his address had become one of the most viewed live sermons of the year. Clips spread rapidly across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, racking up millions of views within hours. People everywhere were debating what his words truly meant. Was it a confession? A rebirth? A warning? Everyone had a theory. But one thing was undeniable: Bishop Jakes had taken back control of his narrative, behind the scenes. However, insiders whispered that this moment was only the beginning of a much larger transition. There were quiet talks of reorganization, potential elevation of new leaders, and even discussions about the future role of his family in the ministry. Some claimed the bishop was preparing to ease away from certain responsibilities, focusing instead on mentoring the next generation. Others believed this was simply the calm before another storm. Either way, this moment marked a clear turning point, when the man, the myth, and the message collided. And although Bishop Jakes had spoken his truth, one question still lingered in the air, echoing far beyond the sanctuary: what happens next?